Hello students, welcome to my video number 65 and we are going to continue with this lesson, what Katy did. So you all must be remembering the lesson is based on a young girl Katy who met with an accident and was just into deep depression and was very much disappointed with herself, with her life. And then we saw her cousin Helen visiting her, and we get to see the kind of interaction they had. So let us continue from where we had stopped in the previous video. We did till here. Somewhere here we did. Cousin Helen, what can I do lying here in bed? So cousin Helen advises her to do something which would make her happy. And then she is inquisitive. She wants to know what could she do lying in her bed. A good deal. Shall I tell you, Katy, what it seems to me that I should say to myself if I were in your place? So she says that if I would have been in your place, I would have done this, what I'm going to tell you now. So Katy gets interested and she says, yes, please, replied Katy wonderingly. Wonderingly means thoughtfully, thinking that what kind of idea cousin Helen was going to give her to make her life worth and to make her life useful for someone. So she begins here. I should say this now. Katy Carr, you wanted to go to school and learn to be wise and useful, and here is a chance for you. But what is the school? Asked Katy. I don't know what you mean. So this cousin Helen, she is going to tell her the kind of thing she could do to make her life useful even lying on her bed. So let us see what she advises her. It is called the School of Pain, replied cousin Helen with her sweetest smile, and the place where the lessons are to be learned is this room of yours. The rules of the school are pretty hard, but the good scholars who keep them best find out after a while how right and kind they are. And the lessons aren't easy either, but the more you study and more interesting they become. So she says that you are going to be part of a school, and the school is the School of Pain. The School of Pain is actually the room of Katy. She says that this very room of yours is actually the school. The rules of the school are very hard, but if you keep them best, them here are the rules. If you keep them best, then you will find out that one day you will be very kind and you will always be right. And lessons aren't also easy, but the more you study, the more interesting they become. So she just makes her more inquisitive and makes her thoughtful what this school was going to be. What are the lessons? Asked Katy, getting interested and beginning to feel as if cousin Helen were telling her a story. Now she's taking a lot of interest in listening to the Helen's the School of Pain. And let us see what kind of lessons, according to Helen, are taught in the School of Pain. So the first lesson she says here, the first lesson is there is the lesson of patience. That's one of the hardest study. So that means patience is very much important, and it is very hard to acquire patience. So she says that the first lesson that you're gonna learn is patience, and that's the hardest studies. You can't learn much of it at a time, but every bit you get by heart makes the next bit easier. So this gives a hint that learning patience is not an easy task, and that is why she is using such language to make her understand that if you have learnt patience, then you have acquired everything, but it takes time to learn patience, to get patience. And there's the lesson of cheerfulness. Then there is another lesson in that School of Pain, and that is the lesson of cheerfulness and the lesson of making the best of things. So these are the three lessons she mentions here, that what she needs to learn. The lesson of patience, lesson of cheerfulness, and the lesson of making the best of things. Making the best of things means taking advantage of the opportunities coming our way, making the best use of the things coming our way. Sometimes there isn't anything to make the best of, remarked Katy, since she is already very disappointed. So she's just applying the things said by Helen to her life. She is applying it to her life, that sometimes the things are not easy to make the best of. And remarked Katy dolefully, "Are there any other studies in the school, Cousin Helen?" Yes, there is the lesson of hopefulness. The fourth lesson is the lesson of hopefulness. So this we see are important attributes, important aspect of anybody's life. If we get these values in ourselves, we become very kind and very good human. So step by step she is giving her the hint that these are the lessons that she needs to learn in her school of pain. That class has ever so many teachers. The son is one. He sits outside in the window all day waiting for a chance to slip in and get at his pupil. He is first-rate teacher. Too, I would not shut him out if I were you. So what she says, class has ever so many teachers. The son is one. He sits outside the window all day. So she is giving a hint to her that she should keep her windows open and let the sun rays come inside her room. He is a first-rate teacher. Who's the first-rate teacher? The sun. And I would not shut him out if I were you. So this is a hint given to her that she should not close her windows and keep them open so that the sun rays enter her room and light her room up. Every morning, the first thing when I woke up, I would say to myself, I am going to get well, so Papa thinks. So this is another thing she's saying, that every morning when you're getting up, you should say to yourself that I'm going to get well. So Papa thinks. This was, we know, the Papa, that is the father of Katy, believed that she would get well soon. Perhaps it may be tomorrow. So in case this should be the last day of my sickness, let me spend it beautifully and make my sick room so pleasant that everybody will like to remember it. So she is she's not directly saying to her, she is applying that thing on herself, that I am going to do this if I am there in your place. Then there is one more lesson, Katy, the lesson of neatness. We know her room was not having any life. It was very dull, dark. So she is another thing that she needs to learn was the lesson of neatness. School rooms must be kept in order. You know, a sick person ought to be as fresh and dainty as a rose. So she gives a hint that neatness is also another important attribute in anybody. So she should keep her school room, that is the room in which she was laying down, very clean, fresh and dainty as a rose. Dainty means very much delicate, that is clean and neat. Cousin Helen went on, then after the room is made pleasant, I would have all my lesson books fetched up. If I were you, I would study a couple of hours every morning. So what we see, she is not just advising that you should do this, you should do that. She is using a different language to make her understand what she needs to do at that point of time in her life. And she is using the language that if I were you, I would do this, I would do that, so that she doesn't feel bad that it does not look to her simply suggestions and advices. So she says that I would have all my lessons books fetched up. If I am there in your place, if I was there in your place, I would have done this. If I were you, I would study a couple of hours every morning. Oh, cried Katy, making a wry face at the idea. Wry means the kind of expression on the face which is neither happy nor excited. Cousin Helen smiled. I know, said she. It sounds like dull work, learning geography and doing sums here all by yourself. But I think if you make the effort, you'll be glad by and buy. So she says that she should keep her books in her room and should try and should study herself. And she also accepts that this is going to be a little dull, because studying all yourself is not going to be easy, but it's all on your effort. You have to make the effort. You will be glad by and by. You won't lose so much ground. Ground means the base will not, you will not weaken your base if you keep touch with your books and with your study. You see, won't slip back quite so far in your education. That means you will be there at par with your education. You will not be going back because of this particular phase in your life. Katy, you were saying just now that one of the things you were sorry about was that while you were ill, you could be of no use to the children. Do you know, I don't think you have that reason for being sorry. Now she comes to another point, that Katy wanted to be useful to the children, so that she could teach something to the children. So she says that also she could do lying there. And how? Let us see. Why not? Said Katy, astonished, means surprised. Because you can be of use. It seems to me that you have more of a chance with the children now than you ever could have had when you were well and flying about as you used to. You might do almost anything you liked with them. So she says that now you have got more time with you, and you can easily spend this time teaching the children and making yourself useful to them. I can't think what you mean, said Katy sadly. Why, Cousin Helen, half the time I don't even know where they are or what they are doing, and I can't get up and go after them, you know. So she is giving a genuine practical reason that she cannot just run after the children and fetch them back to teach. So she says that how I'm going to see what the children are doing. But you can make your room such a delightful place that they will want to come to you. Don't you see? A sick person has one splendid chance. She is always on hand. That means she says that you make your room such a place, such a delightful and happy place, that the children would want to come and visit you. They would like to spend time with you. She is always on hand. That means the one who's sick and the one who's lying on bed is always on hand, is always handy, is reachable, approachable. Everybody who wants her knows just where to go. That means she is easily approachable. Anybody who wants to go and talk to this particular sick person knows where to go. If people love her, she gets naturally to be the heart of the house. So she comes to the point that she has to make herself useful and make herself and will have to change herself and her way of looking at things. Once you make the little ones feel that your room is the place of all others to come to when they are tired or happy or grieved or sorry about anything, and that the Katy who lives there is sure to give them a loving reception, the battle is won. So she ultimately says that you only have to make them feel that way, the way that they just, whatever feelings they have, they just love to come to you and love to express themselves or love to share their happiness, their sadness to you. And when that happens, then the battle is won. That means then you will be successful in your attempt, when the children would love to come to you. For you know, we never do people good by lecturing. Now this is important thing. Simply suggesting and giving lectures to people never does the good. What the person has to do? Only by living their lives with them and helping a little here and a little there to make them better. So best thing is not to lecture or not to give advices and suggestions, but to live life with them, help them and make them feel better in their time of need. And when one's life is laid aside for a while, as yours is now, laid aside means now she's sick, she's lying on bed. So she's not having her normal life, she's not living her normal life. So she says that the kind of life you are in now, yours is now, that is the very time to take up other people's lives, as we can't do when we are scurrying and bustling over our own affairs. But I don't mean to preach a sermon. I'm afraid you are tired. So after saying so many things, she says that I don't want to look like I am giving you some sermon, and you must not feel tired listening at me, and you must feel better whatever I told you. No, I'm not a bit, said Katy, holding Cousin Helen's hand tight in hers. You can't think how much better I feel. Oh, Cousin Helen, I will try. So we get to see here that Katy started feeling quite good after listening to Cousin Helen, and she looks like she's going to follow whatever is said by her cousin, and she is accepting that she was going to try whatever advices, whatever things are said to her by her cousin. So this is what we learn here, that whenever we are sick, we are away, or we are taken aback by any kind of tragedy, that time we should try to come up and try to hold these values, patience, cheerfulness, then hopefulness, all these which are here taught in the lesson. These are very important aspect in our, and should be there in us, particularly patience, very important thing. So these all different things we learn here. And children, I'm going to discuss question answers of this lesson in my next video. Till then, everybody, take care of yourself, and God bless you all.